So I'm going to show you these in a few examples. Here, this is one of those things where everyone has thought you can't do this with CSS, but you actually can. How many elements do you have on the page? And if you have 4 elements, make them 25% wide. If you have 3 elements, make them 33% wide. If you have 2 elements, make it 50% wide, right? That's one of those things you can never figure out how to do with CSS. Anyone ever figure out how to do it with CSS? This is done with CSS. So I'm saying when there's only one list item, make the list item 100% wide. When there are 2, make it 50% wide. When there are 3, make it 33% wide. And when there are 4, make it 25% wide. How did I do that? I said, if an LI is the first of its type, and also, you see the colon right there, the last of its type, it means it's the first one from the bottom and the first one from the top. It means there's only one, right? Make it 100% wide. If it's the first of its type and the second to last of its type, right? If it's both those conditions are true, it means that there's only 2 elements. So also if it's the second of its type and also the nth last of type 1, that means there's exactly 2. So you can make it 50%. I'm going to skip the third one just because you can't go through all of them. And then li nth of type 1, which is also nth last of type 4, means there's exactly 4 items. Make the width 25%. Now this is probably not something you want to use in production if you're going to have like 40 elements. But if you don't know if you're going to have 3 or 4, that's a little bit long, but it's doable. Not supported in crappy old browsers, but every mobile device supports this. So, and that's probably where you would want to use it anyway. Then we can do completely useless stuff, but this is just to show you that it works and to give you the opportunity to play with it. So here it says tr nth of type even, td nth of type even. So every even cell in every even row, and every odd cell in every odd row, make the color red. Make the color white and the background color red. So that's why it looks checkered. We can make this stripy. We can do that. That example is useless, but I just want to show you the power. So I'm going to show you something even more useless. Let's just reload the page. Which is doing the American flag that way. But this is just to prove a point. It's like, don't do this, because this is really dumb.
Christopher Schmidt did a workshop, or he did a talk on the CSS flag. So he went through and
but he did it in a completely different way.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the part of the point of the workshop, was there were like tons of different ways to
yes.
do the same thing in CSS.
So this is the dumbest way. No, wait, no, it's Christopher Schmidt. So yeah, it's not the dumbest way. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm friends with him. I can diss him. Actually, I probably shouldn't, because then I don't have a place to stay for South by. But what was I going to say? How was Hawaii? Hawaii was awesome. So when he organizes conferences, go, because they're in nice, warm locations. So how did I do this US flag? I'm going to show you. So I did it in a backwards way, just to show different selectors. So there are easier ways to do this, but I'm going to explain to you the way I did it, which is a convoluted and hard way, but it uses selectors a little bit more powerfully. So what I did is I said here, I said make every single cell white. White text, white background. Cleared everything out. Then I said every TD that comes after, right? We're using the adjacent sibling selector right there. So all the TDs that come after this particular TD. So what does this TD says? It says nth of type 8 in odd rows. So what does that do? This is the 8th cell in the odd row, right here where the star is. This one, and this one, and this one. So anything after that, make it red. Only in odd rows. So it finds the 8th cell of the odd row, and the TDs after that makes them red. And going back here. And then every TD in odd rows that are 9 or greater. So you see, 2n plus 9 means find the 9th row, and then the 11th row, and then the 13th row. So it's making just, let me go back up or down. Oh, God. I need to be in the cell to be able to go down. I keep forgetting to click. Okay. So it says basically start with the 9th row, and every odd row thereafter, make all the cells red. But in the first 7 rows, 1, 3, 5, and 7, start with the find the 8th cell and make the cells after that red. Does that make sense to people? Okay, so that's how we made the red. Then to make the blue, I said n last of type n plus 7. So it starts at the bottom, goes up 7 rows, and goes from the right-hand side left, saying n last of type n plus 9. So it goes in 9 cells from here. So that's why I said it's the most convoluted way, because the easiest way would have been to make them blue and then to overwrite with red. But I just wanted to show you how you can do it. I want to show you the power selectors instead of logic, basically. Because logic is so overrated. So that's how I did that, made the red and the blue. And then for the stars, I used generated content, and 2605 is a star. And it basically said nth last of type n plus 7, TD nth last of type n plus 9. So it started from the bottom and the right and basically put stars in the top cells. And it made them white. And then I said for every odd row, move those stars over by 14 pixels. And that's how I did it. So let's go back a cell and just spend like 3 minutes with you guys trying to make striped, or however you want to do it. Just play around with structural selectors. Because if you don't play with these now, you may not get it. And if you're a back-end programmer and this is like all new to you, you might also want to play with this one, the first, last, and only, because that might actually make more sense than striping a table. So take a few minutes to play with those. And if anyone has any questions. By the way, Chris's flag was actually correct flag, and mine is not correct because it doesn't have the right number of stars. But he's a graphic designer and I'm not. Well, or maybe he cares and I don't. I don't know. So
You see all the extra stuff he put in there, right?
What?
You see all the extra stuff he's put in there? I think he's got it so that each star links to a different state.
Yeah.
And then it like waves back and forth, and then you have like
Fireworks
fireworks
in
in
the
the
background.
background.
Yeah.
And sound. He's the bird.
So while you guys play with this, I will go find his Schmidt. I'll go find his site. Now that is a beauty. Oops.
Well, now your flag wins on the technical.
Oh yeah, my flag is definitely
technicality.
better at this point. Let's see if we can find a... I guess we're not the only ones making flags out of CSS. I'll give you another minute while I randomly play with CodePen. Oh, okay. So the way that this one was done, this one uses one element, and then so as a background it uses a gradient. So we're going to learn how to make gradients later on. So it uses a stripe gradient. So it goes from red to white to red to white to red to white. And I can just show you that by changing the color.
I also just emailed you just Richmond flag.
Okay. And then what he did is they put a star in. And then, so there's two stars, and used a text shadow to make solid stars. So all the stars are actually shadows of these two original stars.
Is it done with a character or an image?
It is done with, so the generated content is right here, 2605. And if I change the color of the star, I'm just going to change this one right here. There. You see how that shadow? Change that one right there to red. And I could have changed, I can move it to, I can change the offset. And this is what you do when you're really bored at night. I did my flag on a Friday night, so I, as gorgeous as it is where I live, I still stay inside on the computer. So I guess when I was being driven in here today, they're like, but we enjoy our 7 nice days a year. I don't think 7 was said, I added that.